Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. I just picked up this little Sansevieria pyramid. It is a small dwarf version, has these really cool thick plump leaves. And it came from the discount bin. I think I paid like $10 for this thing. So the reason why I bought this is I want to use it for a succulent project that I'm working on. And it actually stemmed from a comment from one of my recent videos. I did make these 3D printed orchid pots, which had massive airflow to the roots. So it kind of got me thinking, what do succulents actually need to survive? Now, I've been growing succulents and cacti for many years, and I've definitely killed my fair share of both. But there's some things that I've learned in regards to their basic care that are just a little bit different than your regular tropical plant. Light is hands down the most important thing for these plants. Now, whether you grow them in natural light or with the use of grow lights, you just want to make sure that they get at least 6 hours of bright light throughout the day. Now, if you're growing them in natural light, I always say to put it in your brightest unobstructed window. For me, this is a south-facing window. Now, you have to be careful because some varieties of succulents, they can tolerate brighter light, so like direct light. You can just put them in a south-facing window and they'll be fine, whereas other varieties are a little bit more sensitive to that direct light, so you might have to pull it back, but just make sure it's still getting bright light. The next most important thing is a little bit complicated because there's many variables that go into it, but it is the concept of overwatering. Now, there's plenty of information out there saying don't use this type of soil, use this pot, don't go too large, don't go too small, and that sort of thing. With all of these suggestions, collaboratively, it is trying to reduce root rot in succulents. They don't like to sit in any soggy or wet soil for any length of time, so having them dry out as quick as possible after watering is key for their survival. So there are basically two types of soils that you can use for succulents. One is this really kind of rocky, gritty mixture. Now, it is really good for airflow. It prevents soil compaction over time as well. But the problem is it doesn't retain moisture or hold on to moisture as long as if you were to use a soil base like this right here. This is Miracle-Gro's cactus and succulent mix. It has, it's a peat-based or peat moss-based soil, but it does have perlite as well as sand for aeration and drainage. So is one better than the other? Not really. It just depends on your, I guess, watering routine, the conditions in your home, the light that you're giving it, that sort of thing. So if you are an overwaterer, then this is probably a good soil choice for you. If you're someone like myself who chronically forgets to water their plants, so I am an underwaterer, this is probably a good soil for you as well. But now it comes to pot selection. There's basically two different types of pots that are recommended for succulents, one of them being terracotta. Terracotta is popular because it is very porous. It absorbs soil moisture. So as you can see, this one is pretty wet, like it's in some soggy soil. Terracotta has the ability to absorb soil moisture. It evaporates it out and it helps dry out the soil quicker. Now, if you use a plastic nursery pot, that's going to hold on or retain moisture longer than a terracotta pot. And for sizes, you don't want to go anything too large, because if you have a pot that is too large and it's sitting in soggy soil, it's just going to remain wet for too long. Now, all that information can be confusing and overwhelming, but they're all trying to achieve the same thing, and that is maximizing airflow to the roots so that you prevent root rot and have a healthy root system and healthy plant. So I thought to myself, is there a better way we can grow succulents that maximizes airflow to the roots so that we're not having to deal with root rot or worrying which type of soil that we're using or the type of pot? And this is what I came up with right here. I'm calling this the Air Maximizer 1000. Now, I know I'm not the first person to come up with the concept of having an inner pot or an insert, but what makes this one different? And I'm not sure if it's out there or not. I put some thoughts together and I just started tinkering around on one of the CAD programs. I took the concept of the orchid pots and I used these very thin slits, and then it has some airflow on the bottom. But for the pot here, there is a gap between the sides and the pot here. So when you put the pot in like that, you can see there's a little bit of a gap between the edge of the pot and the insert. So it has these holes all around the side as well as drain holes on the bottom. And it fits in perfect like that. My hope is that this pot takes away some of the guesswork when choosing soil. Really, you should be able to use either type. I think for today, I'm going to be trying the gritty mixture. I haven't done this yet, but I should probably test out the pot here first just to see if things actually like stay in the pot or if they fall through. I might have to make some modifications. I'm going to try this succulent mixture here first. Does it act like a strainer? Kind of. It's straining out all the fine stuff. So maybe version 2 will need a solid bottom. Yeah, definitely all the fine stuff. So that's probably all the sand that it's filtering out. So, okay, well, we'll put that back. And I will try the gritty mixture. Does any of that fall through? It's just gonna, again, sift out all the very fine particles and dust. So the gritty mixture stays in. The chunkier pieces of the succulent and cactus soil stays in. So I might have to make these slits a little bit smaller and perhaps a solid bottom base. That's the whole point of these little experiments and designing these types of things, is just to see what works and what doesn't, and growing the best possible succulent. Now I do have an idea for version 2. I do want to incorporate a very simple moisture meter, and that is the wood stick. So version 2 right over here on my computer, I did make a little slot or a bracket where I can slide this wood stick down into the side, and you should be able to visually see whether there is moisture on the stick. When you water succulents, and cacti for that matter, you give it a good watering and then you let it dry out completely. So kind of that wet dry cycle is what they like. So sometimes it can be really tough to know if the soil is still dry. I like to use the wood stick. You just put it in the soil, let it sit there for a minute. If there is soil sticking to the wood, then the soil is moist. So this thing is completely saturated. I can feel it by the weight of the pot as well. These leaves, they're really thick and firm. So yeah, it's well watered. So I want to get it out of this soggy soil, put it into this nice gritty mixture, and then see how the plant responds over time. This is just the concept for right now. I'm actually going to place this in just to see if it works or not. So if the gritty mixture is dry, then in theory, the wood should be dry as well. So just a very cheap moisture meter idea. So I'm going to put it to the test. Let me know what you think of this pot design as well. Do you think it's going to work? Do you think it's going to fail? I'm always curious to know what you guys think of my little projects and experiments. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this out of the pot. I want to look at the roots here, make sure they're not rotten. We're good. Roots are good. They're looking really, really healthy. So this one does have, looks like 2 little pups. So here's an offshoot, here's an offshoot. I think for now, I'm just gonna leave it as is, but I'm just gonna knock off as much soil as I can. Looks like there's a couple little rotten leaves and stuff. So just gonna knock off as much soil as I can, and then I'll put it in the new soil. I'm going to show this here in a second, but this is how you can propagate a succulent like a Sansevieria. It just has these offshoots. You can simply just snap them off, and then you can place it in a new pot, and that's how you can quickly and easily propagate these little offshoots. So really nice roots on this one here. So you can chop it right here if you need, and you can see it already has an established root system. Same with this right here. You can just give it a little slice or even just snap it off, whatever, and place it in its own new pot, and it'll just continuously put out these new pups or offshoots or whatever you want to call them. But I think this thing looks super cool. Super thick, chunky, beefy leaves. Yeah, this is a cool variety, and it was only 10 bucks. So okay, let's size it up in this one here. I think I'm going to keep it kind of just at the same height, same level, something like that, and then just fill it in with all that gritty rock. You can definitely make your own soil, but I'm lazy, so I use the VeryPlants succulent and cactus mix. I just purchased this probably about a month ago. I've been waiting to use it for a project. Now, another thing I should address when it comes to watering, What I'm going to be doing is filling up this container and then just letting it sit in there. Obviously the plant's in there. I'll let it sit in there for probably 10-15 minutes because I think if you just water it in the pot, it's probably not going to provide enough moisture to the roots. I think this is probably the best method just so all of the roots get thoroughly saturated. So now I'm just going to dump in some of this mixture like that. Grab a couple more scoops. Now I can place this maybe something like that. And then I'm just going to dump in the rest just kind of around the edges. Or you can tap the pots just so it kind of gets things evenly distributed. So I got it pretty much filled up. Now I'm just gonna poke all this down. I'm just gonna look at it again here just to make sure I got it, I guess, positioned properly. I don't want it too deep, but yet I don't want it too high. So I think that actually looks okay. Like that. Just gonna shake it, just tap it so all that soil can get situated. Now I'm just gonna place this in the pot here just to see if it fits, like that. Okay, I've already identified something that I need to do for the next version. It's really difficult to grab the edges of the pot and pull it up, so I might need like 2 little mini handles or something just to pull it out. There we go. So I'm just gonna rinse the plant off. I'm gonna give it a little bit of water just to help settle it a little bit. Some rocks. Yeah, I might need just a solid base bottom because there's gonna be rocks impeding the pot when you put it all the way to the bottom. It's gonna be sticking out a little bit. Yeah, so this insert doesn't fully seat right at the bottom because there's some rocks that are just sitting on the bottom. So definitely some room for improvement, but overall I'm really happy with how the pot turned out, like how it printed, and just the concept of the airflow around the roots. The leaves are nice and clean, so I'm gonna let this drip dry before I put it in the pot, but I just realized I forgot to put my little moisture meter stick in there, so I want it visible on the side. So I'm just gonna see if I can just place that in and see if it actually works or not. So I'll put it all the way to the bottom. Oh, there's some stones. There, something like that, and let's see if it like actually wicks up some of the moisture and if you can see it on the side. So kind of just like a cheap little moisture meter gauge. We'll see how it works. It's been a few minutes and it actually looks like it's working. So it's tough to tell like on camera here, but the stick is definitely wet. I just cleaned off the pot as well and perfect. It sits in there perfectly. There you go. A little canister, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Now I know you don't need this pot to successfully grow succulents, but just as long as you understand their very basic requirements, so putting them in a bright location, making sure you have a well-draining soil so that there is airflow and good drainage for the roots, and then watering in that kind of wet-dry cycle, so making sure you give it a thorough watering, but don't give it any water till it's absolutely bone dry again. That's pretty much it. I just hope that maybe this pot can help some people grow better, healthier succulents. So let me know down in the comment section what you think of this design, if there's any design ideas or things that I should add. Otherwise, I appreciate all the support. Thanks for watching all my videos. Take care, everyone. Bye.